Hello and welcome. Let's talk about what we call the four software interfaces in the GrandCare universe. The first one being, of course, the touchscreen itself. And here's an example of my demo system's touchscreen that I'm looking at in emulation in my web browser. But it looks just like this. And there's a number of things going on, so let's just briefly cover what's here. Of course, in the corner here up at the top, I've got the time, and touching it will reveal an analog clock. Below that, I've got the weather, and if I touch that, I get the extended weather forecast. And below that, I get, of course, the main menu, and this is where my caregivers or GrandCare providers will have configured my GrandCare to show certain buttons just for me. Now my demo system right now shows a great many buttons, which I can go through. But very likely a typical GrandCare installation will have far fewer buttons, but your mileage may vary. Underneath the main menu, I've got the slideshow, and if I don't touch the screen for a period of time, it will come on automatically. But if I want to invoke it right away, I can just touch the slideshow button. And if it's not quite going fast enough for me, or I'm looking for a particular item, I can click through and it will go through all of my GrandCare slideshow elements in turn. Each time that I click will be something new. Below that is the video call button, and touching it just shows me all the people that I might video call from my GrandCare touchscreen. And below that I've got this notification bar that tells me that I've got 0 notifications waiting for me. You can see it's a bit grayed out and the number 0 appears in the badge, but if I had a new letter, for example, this would light up and tell me that I had 1 new letter waiting for me, and touching it would show me that particular thing. Down below that I've got the settings area, which shows me all sorts of things like from system information to networking information and more that we'll cover later on. There's also the volume adjustment, which I can use to adjust this volume to whatever I like and even test it out. I like that, so I'll keep it there. And I've got this help button, which wherever I am on the GrandCare touchscreen, if I want to know more about what it is I'm looking at, I can click this question mark and get all the help that I might need. And that is briefly the GrandCare touchscreen. That's one of the 4 software interfaces that comprise GrandCare. Let's continue on and talk about another software interface of the GrandCare universe, and that is what we sometimes call GC Manage, or the caregiving portal. And I'm going to be logging into the development environment here at GrandCare just for the sake of the privacy of other people who are using GrandCare on other servers. So I'm going to log in. And here we are. There's a lot going on here. I can see the last 6 GrandCare accounts that I've looked at on this server. I can click and look at or edit my GrandCare profile and roles and other things that I might do there. And this isn't meant to be an exhaustive how-to of everything that you would do in GC Manage, but the kind of things that you would do we sometimes think of as administrative. Like, for example, I might want to manage the users in my GrandCare world, all the GrandCare caregivers who have access to this website. I have to have a user account, and that account would be listed here. And if I want to add a user, for example, I could add them here. That might be a family caregiver or someone on staff in my GrandCare providing organization. I can also do things like manage groups. That is a way to organize business units in your GrandCare world and organize group caregiving staff for all the GrandCare units in that group. More on that later, but you can see that these are some administrative tasks that don't have anything in particular to do with providing care to one GrandCare using individual. Now, if I go back home, these are those last viewed accounts that I talked about. And if I want to click through onto one of those accounts, here's a good example. It's Michelle's desktop system. Now I can see some status indicators for her GrandCare system. It's up. That's good. There have been no recent alerts. That's maybe also good. Plenty of things that I can do here, including I can pop out an emulation of her touchscreen so that I can see what her GrandCare touchscreen looks like. But this is the one I want to draw your attention to. It's the Open Care menu button. And that actually shows us one of the other GrandCare software interfaces that we are going to talk about today. That's the Care menu. I'm going to switch to my own GrandCare training demo for the purposes of this demonstration, and I'm going to click the Open Care menu button. Now we're in GC Manage, that's software interface number 2, and I'm going to click this button and expose the Care menu, software interface number 3. To open the Care menu, I just click this button, and I get this new interface here on the side, this little pop-up window. It's labeled Care menu, and I've got all sorts of things going on here, and pretty much all of them have to do with just this person's GrandCare touchscreen. And so I can control which buttons are on the touchscreen. I can control which elements appear in the GrandCare slideshow. I can send and receive letters from this particular GrandCare user. I can look at the photos that might be uploaded or linked from Facebook just for this particular GrandCare user. I can look at their activity sensors and the data from those sensors. I can look at this individual's wellness devices and also the data from those wellness devices, as well as make rules about who's to get notifications about what. There's medication and on, but this particular interface, the Care menu interface, has to do with just this specific GrandCare user. And it's not managing users from my organization. It's not managing groups for my organization. It's just doing things for this particular GrandCare user. And that is software interface number 3. And that brings us to number 4, the GrandCare mobile app, which I have downloaded for free from the App Store and have installed on my iPhone. And launching the app takes me to a list of all the GrandCare units that I have access to. You can see them all listed here. If I was just a family caregiver, of course I would not see this list. I would be taken directly to the only GrandCare that I have access to. But since I am a group caregiver or higher, I have access to many systems and they are all listed here. Selecting one particular GrandCare gives me these choices. I can make a video call, send a text message to the screen, or maybe upload some photos. Let's talk about that last option. Now the app would like to have access to my photos. I have to say okay. And here's my photo roll. And I can either take a picture with the camera or I can select from my photo roll. I'm going to select from the pictures I already have. And maybe I'll select that one. And there I'll upload those 2 photos. And it's complete. And those will be in the GrandCare slideshow. Now let's send a text message. Here's a history of the message that have been sent, and I'll start a new one. It's just like an email. I'll give it a little subject, and I'll type a message in for the body, and maybe use some autocomplete to save myself a little typing on my iPhone. And there's my brief message to this GrandCare user, which will appear on the screen just moments after I send it. and I just touch send, and off it goes. Now let's go back, and let's talk about video calling. So I can initiate a video call here, and there it is, ringing, and there's no one there to answer it, so I'll just automatically answer it because I have that privilege. And there you see my little preview of myself and the camera at the other end. So I'll hang it up, and you can also make a voice-only call, which is hard to show on video, but you can. And that is the fourth software interface of the GrandCare world. It is the mobile app for iOS for free, and yes, there is an Android version coming soon.